How many opportunities have you talked yourself out of? You know, that job you didn't apply for, maybe that business you didn't start, that move you didn't make. Maybe it's the relationship you stayed in for far too long. Or maybe it's that trip, that solo trip you wanted to take, but you never went on it. And you didn't do it because you couldn't. You did it probably, most probably like 99% of the reason why you didn't do it is because your mind has already decided that the answer would be no before you even tried. But what if the answer could have been a yes? And that is what I want to talk to you about today. Hey, my name is Rizal. I'm your island friend, your confidant, your host today. Welcome back to another episode of the Paradise Perspectives podcast. You know, I was reminded when I was putting together this episode, I was reminded by something that my dad said to me when I was very young. And it's probably what has made me into that woman that I am today. The woman that is not really scared of taking the scary steps. Or actually, let me just repeat that in the honest truth of that sentence. It made me into the woman who is afraid of taking the step but is taking the step anyway. That's what that means. That's what it is. And this thing that my dad said came after I was like, he could see that I was struggling with something that I wanted to do, but I didn't have the confidence to do it. And he sat me down and he said to me that one of his favorite sayings in Dutch is, nee heb je, ja kan je krijgen. And that like literally translates to you already have a no, but what if you can get a yes? Obviously, when I got older, I used it on him and it didn't really quite work. You know, I wanted to go and party and I asked him, I told him, you already said that I already have a no, so I'm going to try here to get a yes. And I said, can I go to the disco? And he said no. But that's another story. My dad, you see, had vision issues all of his life. He couldn't see very well, so he was wearing these very thick glasses. He got teased a lot. He was overlooked in class. He was shoved aside as somebody who would never amount to anything. And until the day when his mom grabbed him by the wrist and pulled him out of the house, dragged him to the school and presented himself in front of the teacher and told that teacher, demanded to that teacher that that teacher put her son in the front of the class where he would at least have a chance. My dad then became so not fearless, but so daring in everything that he wanted to do, not to show the world that he could do it, but to show himself that he could. Our home office, his home office, was plastered wall to wall with all of his accomplishments, all of his diplomas, all of his certificates. They were all there for us to see. And that is what he instilled in me from very, very young. Nee heb je, maar ja kan je krijgen. If you say to yourself it's already a no and you just give up, then you don't give yourself a chance at all. That no could actually be a yes, but you need to dare to get out of your comfort zone to do it. You see, a lot of us, we sit with something that we want to create in our lives, something like a goal that we want to reach or a dream that we want to make into a reality, a better life. But we sit with it and we never do anything about it because fear then steps in, and then comes all of these excuses that what if you fail? What if you fall? What if people laugh at you? Right? And we stay in that moment, and then that dream just vaguely sits there gathering dust somewhere because we never dare do anything about it. And most of the time, if not 99% of the time, it is because we are afraid of failure. And when I say failure, it automatically reminds me of another thing that I want to mention to you today, and that is a video that I saw just recently, and it was a clip of an interview that Howard Stern did with Ed Sheeran. And in that in that video, and if you have never seen it, oh my God, you need to do that as soon as you are done listening to this episode. Please go and listen to this. If you're already on YouTube right now and you're watching this on YouTube, go in the search bar and type in Ed Sheeran interview with Howard Stern on failure, and you'll get it. It is a fantastic piece of that interview where he says that success did not teach him anything. What he learned in life is everything, all of those lessons came from failure. You know, it came from all of the times when he sat there as a teenager making his first YouTube appearance, and, you know, with the voice cracking and everything. He actually shares this video on this interview, and the many times that people told him get a real job, the many times that he just didn't succeed, but he kept going. You shouldn't, I should say, you shouldn't be afraid of failure. Failure is a necessary step forward. All right? I would not be doing this podcast if I was afraid of, you know, being perceived an idiot, because I already, you know, have an accent. I will always have an accent. English is not my first language. But now I am proud of myself, because even if I only get you listening to this episode today, I have won. You know why? Because, very simply put, I always thought I wouldn't be able to do a whole episode in English, just because I would be making mistakes in grammar and in the way I pronounce certain words. And that, instead of keeping me from doing this podcast, I said, F it. I'm going to do it anyway. And yes, I failed in the beginning. And yes, I made a lot of mistakes. And yes, to this day, there are words that are mispronounced. And you know what? I don't care, because at the end of the day, failure is what teaches me to be better. So next time when I'm filming or I am recording an episode, I know to pronounce that word a little bit better. That's how it goes. So learn from failure, because at the end of the day, you already have to know. But you could make it a yes. Remember last episode? Last episode was all about repeating patterns and how it's a different year, yet we are reliving the same story. And one of the biggest patterns, especially for women, is that we keep repeating, is that we keep talking ourselves out of trying new things. We just assume the failure before we even failed. We assume rejection before we actually hear the word no. We assume it won't work. And this is all, of course, because of the limiting beliefs, and of course, put in a dose of fear into that, and then the pattern continues. So I want to again tell you again, and I can tell you this 100,000 times, and I don't get tired of telling you this. Fear doesn't mean stop. Fear is just your brain trying to protect you. All right? And failure, remember that Ed Sheeran thing that he said, failure is where you learn. So, my darling friend, fear will always show up. That doesn't mean you stop. Do it shaking, do it scared, do it unsure of yourself with no confidence whatsoever, but do it. Okay? Confirmation there, because that's my phone telling me that you see what I'm saying right now is the truth. Do it scared, as long as you do it. Because the only way that you are going to discover the yes in this possible no, or actually the possible yes in the no, is if you take the risk. You risk hearing the no. You risk falling on your face. You risk being booed off the stage. I don't care. You take that risk. And yes, it's going to be scary. And it's going to be scary every single time you try, until you get it. So if you are ready to stop repeating the same year, and you are ready to start actually moving towards your dreams, to create them and making them into reality, I want you to download the Dream to Action Starter Kit. I have that in the show notes. I have that in the description of this video. If you are watching it on YouTube, go and click on it, find out what it is about. It is only It's less than $30 that you're investing in yourself right now, and that is going to help you go after your dreams and your goals this year. Because this year, we are no longer letting fear interrupt us from actually creating the life that we want. Okay? We're not doing that anymore. And if this dream to action isn't for you, then perhaps keep on listening to this podcast, because this podcast is going to give you the motivation and the inspiration to yes, to keep on saying yes to your dreams, to creating that great life that you have envisioned for yourself. Okay? All right, my friend, if you have liked this episode, if it had any value for you whatsoever, please share it with your friends, with your auntie, with your sister, with your mother, with whomever is in your immediate circle. Share it with them. And if you are not into sharing, then perhaps you want to let me know that you think it is great or not. And you can do so on Apple Podcasts by scrolling all the way down there, where you can see a little area where you can leave a review. You can also leave a couple of stars, whatever stars you think this podcast deserves. And if you are, of course, on YouTube, you can scroll down to the comment section and let me know what you thought of this. Okay? And maybe you have your own interpretation of how you are now building the life that you want for yourself, or how you are busy working on realizing your dreams. I am really anxiously waiting to hear from you what you thought or what you think, or also on how you are working towards realizing your dream. I really want to hear more about you and from you. So another way that you can get in contact with me, hello at thetravelingislandgirl.com. I am always there to answer your questions or to listen to whatever you need to tell me. All right, that's it from me. Sayonara, adios, dag, ayo, ciao, bye.